Now here's a little bit of a chart, and we just go through so that you have an overview, and it starts, it's very hard to read. Like here, we use the purpose. Do I have my little laser? No, somewhere. Look, I have here, man. And I'm not pointing at you. So the purpose is up here, and that's the first thing that we look at. What is the main issue of a patient? What is their mental, emotional state? Then we look at toxins and all the different tests that are associated with the toxic load, which leads then to detoxification. There is water-soluble toxins, fat-soluble toxins, there is heavy metal toxicity, then there is hormone disruptors, all the toxins that are related to the hormonal system. So to find out which ones are at place and at work in your chart and in your personality is really crucial, because not everybody has the same kind of toxicity or the same pathways blocked or has inherited a lot of toxins, and that's why this is important. Then we look at gut health. Again, we have some tests that will allow to look at them. And by the way, all of you get the slides, so online, and then it's very easy, you can look at them. We didn't want to print them out all because it's 250 slides. It's like a whole book. We look at all the gut health and then all the treatments for gut health. Now that plays a big role in regards to diet. And again, we look at food sensitivities, we look at allergy tests, all of that, to find the right diet and then set up a diet program that works with you. There are people, especially at an advanced stage, they need a different diet than someone who is freshly diagnosed. Then there is healing diets. And this is something that we all need to understand. Every diet that is different from what you've been eating so far is a healing diet. Because you break a pattern, number one. Secondary, you might drop out from foods that you've become sensitive to. I've actually been shocked in America how many people eat the same food day in, day out, day in, day out. 6 foods that they rotate on average throughout the whole year. 6 foods. How boring that must be. But it's like the different textures, the different tastes. Oh, they miss out on so much, but that's what they eat all year. And at a workshop down in Palo Alto, the gentleman said, it doesn't matter what you eat, as long as you have vitamin C, you can digest pretty much everything. I disagree with that. It's a very important thing that we look at a proper diet. From there, diet and gut health is very directly correlated to inflammation, all the inflammatory issues. And we look at all the blood tests and inflammatory markers, which are very important. There is quite a number. Long-term inflammation, short-term inflammation, you have brain inflammation, you have arterial inflammation, skin inflammation, all the gut inflammation. All of those things need to be determined where your main problems are so that we can deal with them. And then all the things that can change deficiencies is directly related to your gut health and to the diet and to the inflammation markers. When you think about deficiencies, how many people would you guess poo pretty much 80 to 90% of their supplements into the toilet? They don't absorb anything. And again, this is to do with the bacteria load that you have in your gut, the pH value that you have in your gut. Bacteria, and I said that, and I like the image. For me, it's just, I need images to understand things. That's why you don't see a lot of writing on my charts. It's always pictures. Has anybody seen Nemo? Yes. It's a little anemone. That's the willies. And in there live all your bacteria. And as the food comes through, they eat and digest everything, and then it's absorbed into the body. Actually, you don't digest anything. It's the bacteria in your gut, the 2.5 kilos, that break down the food. It's a symbiosis. We live in symbiosis with them. Now, if we have bacteria that rot food and break it down while bloating, and we have problems, and we have digestive issues, or we have all sorts of leaky gut, then you don't absorb the nutrients that your body needs in order to get well. So that's a really important part to look at, yes? Yes, yeah. Antibiotics, food sensitivities, all sorts of preservatives. We cover that, but just think about why from walking off the table, right? If you leave it for a day in the shelf, it would go bad, it would rot. Now, instead of, in order to stop that, you preserve foods, which kills bacteria and all the different critters that would digest the food. Now, if you eat that food, you kill all the bacteria in your gut. That's why if you eat pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, you eat them and kill your own body milieu, and you create a dysbiosis in your gut. So that's a really important part. This is actually one of, deficiencies, and gut health is a very important part that we include. Deficiencies, you will see that a lot of people take supplements and take supplements. Who of you has started to do vitamin D? How long does it take, even though you take 10,000, 5,000 IU every day, how long does it take until you slowly build it up in your body? It's the same thing. We did tests, people with very low levels of selenium, and then we check on those who eat Brazil nuts and those who eat the supplements. And the Brazil nuts increase probably by 1/3 in speed the uptake of selenium, whereas if you take supplements, they take forever to build you up. So it's something that we need to slowly understand, that it's actually your gut bacteria know food. That's how they have subtracted or extracted all the nutrients for thousands of years. Now all of a sudden you come with a synthetic supplement, which might have the same molecular structure, but your bacteria say, that doesn't taste like it's supposed to taste, I don't like that. That's how, I always see my bacteria like the little Nemo, the little fish, and they live, yes.
They now refer to the intestinal flora as the second brain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically the concept that, we are just a house for them.
That's it, we're a house for them. And it's nice, we did a documentary, we started, 16 interviews are done, 8 of them are usable. So for autism, you have no clue how that is related to that. Thinking clearly, having happy emotions, being creative, all the depression, anxieties, fears, everything lives in here. That's why we call emotions are in the gut. As soon as you start over time to repair your gut and you go out of that dreadful situation in there, your mind changes. You have 2 different people from before and after the treatment. Children with seizures who bang their head against the wall, you take their food sensitivities out, you change their gut milieu, you introduce, which is very difficult, those children are not easy to treat with or change, they don't like change, but once you manage and the parents are tough enough, actually I know mothers, they sit on the child and hold their mouth open and feed them with syringes, the supplements and everything, because otherwise you would never get them to do that. You need to be seriously tough in your approach, but those who do, they have stunning results. So it's something that is always related. You can't have happy emotions if you have a crappy gut. And it's the pH level, it's the bacteria, it's everything. And we look at many of those as we go through. So, and then we have alkalinity. You all know alkalinity is really important. It's the first part to stop cancer from growing. So if you want to have no cancer continue to grow, you need to alkaline to a maximum level. And you don't do that with alkaline water, you do that with foods. The physical treatments here are not a lot bigger. We have here the swimming and massage and walking and humming and trampoline. So these are very simple things that we include into the program because we need to activate their system. But we have also here hypothermia, local hypothermia, and I've talked about all the different forms of hypothermia. There are many of them, but they're actually just repeating or copying what your body normally does on its own. Every single body heals itself by developing fever. That's the natural healing reaction of your body. So never ever take a Panadol if you have fever. That's the most important. And then ozone, infusions, PMF, so we look at those. And then we have hormones. Now, where's my finger here?
Never take what? Fever?
Never ever suppress your fever. Don't take Panadol.
Acetaminophen? Yes.
Tylenol. Okay.
Paracetamol, that's the
Yeah.
English. Yeah.
I went to the clinic with my gallbladder infection, and the nurse, I had very high fever. Then the nurse came running out and wanted to give me those pills. And I said, hey, I'm celebrating that my body has fever. I'm not taking them. You know, it's really great. She just shook her head, walked out. Then she came with the head nurse back. That's the one. And she just pointed at me. And I was like, what's the problem? And she said, well, you refuse to take your pills. And I said, yes, I do. Because look, my body reacts with a fever reaction, so I celebrate. This is great. It kills off all the bacteria and fungi and helps with your inflammation. And then they tried to talk me in, and I refused to do it. And then the doctor came. That's the one. And it just kept continuing, and I was refusing, and then they wanted to give me IV antibiotics, which, you know, with surgery is something that you might need to do. But I said, there is many alternative ways, and I was like, oh no, not him. So I was the square peg in the round hole, didn't fit in. Okay, yeah?
You can safely bring it up to 105 and then try to cool off.
Yeah.
That's the limit where cancer cells really can't live in.
Yeah, we'll cover all the steps of hypothermia because there's many factors. Hypothermia is so multifaceted, and it depends on the temperature, what you get to, and it activates different cells. It activates your white cells. At a certain temperature, it flags your immune cells, then it flags your cancer cells, then it kills cancer cells. So it's like a variation in range, and we'll go through all of them.
Can you talk about the abnormal low temperature of cancer patients as well?
Yes, yeah. Then we have hormones, which I hope somebody has more clue than I have. I just copy what my wife explained me. Hormones are very complicated, and we just cover some of the basics. This is a world. I think you have to be female to get that. And then we have stress, which is a very important part. So this is what we go through, and we do it very systematically in those different areas. What I would like to do is just break one belief. What is superior, mind over matter? Can we heal with the mind?
Yes.
Within limits.
Wow, thank you. Why do you think yogis and gurus and lamas and priests have cancer, have hemorrhoids, have digestive problems, have diabetes? Because you only have a certain range where your mind has an influence. If you have bad lifestyle habits, if you have dietary problems, if you have any kind of toxic environment you live, you can have the most beautiful positive thinking thoughts that you want. You can be always in bliss in heaven. Your body still deteriorates. And I have very good friends in India, in Nepal. A very good friend of mine is Lama Tendar, and he has cancer. And believe me, he chants every day, and he's very spiritual and meditates every day, and he still has all the problems. So don't separate those two. It's always vice versa. You have a person that has spiritual issues, they will affect the body. You have mental issues, they affect the body. And you have lifestyle habits, they affect the body. The body on its other side, when you start to detoxify, will you change your lifestyle habits? Yes. When you have detoxification and you get rid of, you take supplements, and all of a sudden you bring nutrients back, you fill up your fatty acid profile, omega-3 fatty acids for your brain. Does that change your mind? Does that change your emotions? We have people that have a B12 deficiency because they can't methylate. And all of a sudden you add that to their supplementation list and they get methylated B12s, and all of a sudden their depression goes away. Then you have people that have Alzheimer and you give them good oils and good fats, and all of a sudden their brain activates again. There is too many things interrelated. You can take a person into a full-on detox program, and from the detox program you don't recognize the person afterwards because they are all of a sudden happy and cheerful, and they came before as a grumpy bugger. And that's where we need to look at. It's vice versa. It's in both directions, and that's why we need to address all sides at once.